Hi, I hope you are all doing well. First of all, I wanted to talk a bit about version 5.6 and what it means for the project. Honestly, I've been delaying the release of this video to take advantage of the new features introduced in the latest version of Unreal. However, this version not only brought some incompatibilities, but also the usual bugs and issues that come with the new tools. As you probably know, Mutable is still in beta. This tutorial is in beta, and everything is subject to change as we move forward. And now that I have a clearer idea of what 5.6 involves, I'm going to shift the focus of the tutorial back to the coding side of the things, the part that doesn't involve Mutable, at least until some of the new MetaHumans features are more stable. So, let me show you what we will be working on in this class. Okay guys, I will show you what we're going to do in the next 2 classes or 3 classes, because we're not going to record everything in one class, because it's going to be a 3 or 4 hour class if I do that. So basically we're deleting everything here. There's nothing in our creation bound, it's just empty. We still need something for reference and for the camera, but everything will be handled by the VPC character creation. Okay, our assembler is going to be something different. We're going to create a set of data assets that will load basically everything. Each one of these one has, for example, a set of meshes and animations and mutable object with the component name as a reference to load a specific mesh in each one of these parts, the face, the body. Basically everything will be automatic once we set the data asset and we define which characters to load. The system will do the rest. Also, with this I have the possibility to unlock characters. For example, here I have the male and the female, but I don't have royalties. However, if I unlock them, now I have the 2 and royalties. Okay, and I have, for example, the basic one and the one that I have unlocked. So this is what I want to do, the ability to have certain characters or certain skins and be able to unlock everything later. The system will work just like that, and we need to code a lot, okay, before we keep going with Mutable, because remember the Mutable is doing some update. I will say it's updating Mutable. Epic is updating Mutable, and there's a lot of things that I prefer not to touch until Epic do its things, but Mutable is working better right now. This is, by the way, 5.5, but we will do this class in 5.6. Sorry, it's too late already. 5.6, and with the project that you download from the last video. Okay, I keep this 5.5 because this is the developer. Character creation dev is the one that I use to develop things, and I didn't update this, but we will code with the other one. Okay, so let's begin. Before we start, I want to fix something that I didn't see when I upload the character creation updated to 5.6, is that the female character, the mannequin female character from Unreal Engine 4 is missing. And that's because when I update game animation sample, I accidentally delete the female character mesh. That's simple. I download gas from 5.6 and migrate the character, the entire folder to the character creation folder, and well, the female character was deleted there. So what you have to do is to download the project with the two mannequins from Unreal Engine 4. I will leave the link in the description, and I also leave the link in the description of the previous video. Open the project, migrate the female character with their materials and everything, and then you need to basically fix everything, which is basically you can move the mesh to the game animation sample project or make a copy. What I usually do is to make a copy, fix the materials and textures and everything. So I will leave you with the video. You just need to copy the process. We will continue after you finish adding the female character. first thing that we're gonna do is to create a folder, call it DA, data asset, and inside this another one called PDA, primary data asset. The thing is that in order to create a data asset, we need to create it from C++ or using a primary data asset. So I will right click and here new blueprint class primary data asset, this one, okay, and I will call it PDA character component. Okay, this will be the template of our data asset. Okay, because now if we are here and try to create a data asset, we can just use this as a template. Okay, and we have our data asset that is using our primary data asset character component as a template. If you want to know more about primary data asset, how can you create data asset without C++, I highly recommend you to watch this video by Mathew Wadstein. Excellent dude, really. I highly recommend that you watch every single one of these videos. In one more than one occasion I find myself looking into his tutorials. Blueprint only data asset in Unreal Engine 4, which also work in Unreal Engine 5. Highly recommend. Okay, let's start with three variables. The first is gonna be an e character, this one, variable. Let's call it character there. The second one will be gender, and this is inside the engine. Call it gender. This is gender. Okay, this is already inside the engine, so you don't need to create it. You have male, female, and other, and in our e character we have all these ones. And finally, a bool, call it is Mathew, and I will put all these three inside a category called basic. It's important that you make the proper order here because it's going to be a mess if not. Okay, this thing. And now, before we continue, we need to create two structs and an enum. Okay, so our enum will be body parts, and it will have basically a copy of all of our bones in our hierarchy in the character mesh or in the merged character mesh. Okay, something like this. There we have root, body, face, torso, legs, and feet. Root will be for the character, the UFN character. Remember in gas, let me show you quickly. No, not here. If you have any retouched character, you have the root with the UFN mannequin and then our character. And because I will use something similar to the metahumans, we have root will be this root, then body will be this one, and then we have face, legs, torso, and feet, face, legs, torso, and feet. Okay, it's quite simple. Now let's go to the code folder and now see here, create a new folder called structs, and here we need two structs. The first is gonna be called is character assembler, and the second one is gonna be called is mutable component info. Okay, let's start with this one. You have the 5 variables that we will store in the character assembler. The first one is going to be an anim instance. Okay, anim instance class reference. The second one is a skeletal mesh. This one object reference. The third one is a material interface. Interface object reference and set it to be an array. The fourth one is our mutable component info. It's not an array. And the last one is just a simple name, and it's gonna be a name. Okay, there. Next, open our mutable component info structure. Here we need 2 variables, and the type will be customizable object instance. This one object reference, and the last one is the name. And the first one will allow us to select our customizable object instance, and the component name is, remember the component name, for example here in here the component name is exactly this name. Okay, just for reference. Okay, save, close it, and let's go back to our primary data asset character component, and we need to continue from here. Now let's create a new variable, call it skeletal mesh data, and it's gonna be a map. So let's check for body parts there, and select map, and this is gonna be our okay, I forgot the name. Is character assembler, this one. I didn't save it. Okay, there is character assembler. Okay, and I will locate this into a visuals character category. And this is probably the most important part of all the primary data asset, because here we have the skeletal mesh that we will use as a base to add the animation, the skeletal mesh, the material of the skeletal mesh, tags, our mutable information, because basically I wanted to create a system that is completely modular and can use mutable data or not. So we can use skeletal meshes, so like any skeletal mesh with their materials, or we can use the mutable object. And the tag is basically for the game animation sample system, because we will need to provide a tag that it will be used in the anim class, which is gonna be the target one. Okay, let me see. We will change this later, but basically it's gonna be this one. Body, this one, and the tag is gonna be this tag. Okay, but you can use the system for any other kind of character if you want to use a metahuman, Paragon 1, wherever. Okay, so this is the basic structure. Okay, we need one more thing. We need a float. Okay, let's select single float, call it height correction, and it's gonna be responsible for locate the feet of the character in the right position. So we will rise or move the character in the correct position with this variable, basically. Okay, so character, gender, is metahuman. You will see why we have this boolean here. This is the important one, and hey correction. So now that we have our primary data asset component, our primary data asset ready, let's create our data asset. There. And I'm gonna call it DA character template, just for reference, okay? And open it. But before we continue, we need to make some changes here in the E character. Set it like this. The first one is have to be none, and then I rename everything to for my mannequin, female mannequin, Mutable royal list, okay? Because I need to inform the system if we are using just a template or any of these four. Okay, change it, save it, open the the BP creation pound, compile and save. Okay, this is changing immediately. It doesn't matter because we will delete this and use another thing later. In fact, we are not going to use anything here, just for testing only, because all the functions and everything is gonna be moving to our component. Okay, now select none, other, and leave is metahuman empty. Now add a new element here, select root. Our skeleton mesh assets is gonna be our default game animation sample character. I think that this is this one. The anim class is basically what I'm doing is replicating the thing. Okay, I will open this, and this is the character that we will use here. This is the animation. This is the animation that we're going to use here. Okay, the ABP sandbox character. This is the material that we're going to use, index 0, index 0. Okay, nothing for mutable object, nothing for component name, nothing for tag, just leave that empty. So this is the basic structure that we will use in all our mutable characters, because remember that we're going to integrate that with our game animation sample character. If you want to use something different, for example a third-person project, this is not needed, but just to speed up all the creation of all the other characters, I will just create a basic template. Okay, there. So before we start coding our character assembly component, we need something to feed into that component. So let's create 2 copies of this with just the basic UN relation for money. So this duplicated, and this is going to be data asset in relation for mannequin male, and duplicated, and this is going to be our female. Okay, let's start with the male. And here we have the roots, no mutable data, no component name, none, nothing. I don't know why the default value is, let me check. Body parts, structure, no, there is false. No, let's set this to none. There, save. Yeah, okay. None. and this is the male. So after the root we need the body, and here we will add the relation 4 mannequin meshes. Okay, this one, and this mesh has two material, 0 and 1. So we have index 0 and 1, and 0 is the body and 1 is the logo. Okay, no mutable data, and let me check the tag. The tag is retoucher UFN to UFO mannequin. If you want to know where are you getting that information, is from here. Retoucher character, this dictionary retoucher. In fact, this is the name class. Okay. So basically, I am replicating the game animation sample setup. Okay, that's it. The core has the core character, what they call the core. The base character is the UFM mannequin with this animation. This animation instance is used in all of these ones. Okay, so let's open this one too. For the male mannequin, we have the root, which is this one. Okay, we replicate everything. We will set the collision properly in the component, and there is no tag here. Where is tags? There shouldn't be. Okay, here there is no tag. But this mesh, which is the one that I am calling the body, has this tag, okay, which is the one that we're using here. Okay, simple. And as you can see, this mesh is also using the ABP generic retoucher, which is the animation that we're setting here. Same mesh, same material, same everything. Okay, so let's close this. For metahumans, we have something more complex. We'll do that later. And that's it. This is the basic setup for this dataset. For the female is almost the same. Let me check if I can just copy everything. I don't know what. Let me check. Yeah. Okay, none is body. It's the same tag. There is no mutable information. Materials. Okay, let's check this. First is the female, and the female mannequin is using the female body, and the logo, and the same animation retoucher. The only difference is that we will use a high correction. I don't know if it's 1 or -1, but I will change this later after we set the component. Okay, just to show you why we're using this here. But basically that's it. We have two data assets ready with no mutable information. Okay, as you can guess, probably we will use two more for Liz and Roy. So I forgot something. Open the male one, change this to UFO male, and the gender is male, and open the female, and this is UFO female mannequin and female. Okay, data asset UFO relation 4 mannequin male, use character UFO male mannequin, and the gender is male. And the data asset relation 4 mannequin female, use the UN relation 4 female mannequin in character and female here. Okay, that's it. Now let's create the character assembler. Okay, inside the core directory, create a new one called blueprints, And inside blueprints, let's create a blueprint class. It's a nitro component of the type scene component. This one, okay? Scene component. This one. And I'm gonna call it VPC character assembler. Okay. Open it up. And here delete everything and create a new event called initialize. There. This initialize event will have an input of the type VPC character creation object reference, and I'm going to call it VPC character creation. And extend from here promoted to variable. There, we need the component. Okay, we need this component because we need some of the functions that we have inside this component, basically. Okay, what else? We need the map that we create here, this one. The faster way to replicate this is to grab it, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, create variable, there. Okay, we have the map here. Okay, let's call this body mesh map. Finally, we need a variable of the type PDA character component, this one, okay? So this one. Okay, let's call it character dataset. And this is gonna be editable and exposed on spawn. And here we will access our basically dataset. So that's all the variables that we need. Okay, now comes a very hard part. I'm sorry, but open BP creation pound, disconnect this because we're going to delete everything. In fact, this can go right now. And snap fingers. Erase, 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 erase. Everything. It's gone. It's gone. Just like that. Okay, delete this and delete this here. We will delete this function and this array later, but we're only using it here. So if we delete these two, now we can safely delete this and this, but we will do it later. Okay, there's nothing. It's just erase everything. Okay, let me explain what is the function of this VPC character assembler. Let's go here to the root, add VPC character assembler. Okay, this component will replace all that thing that we do with the characters, but it will be automatized. Okay, I don't know how do you say in English automatic, but this is how it's gonna be. This will load automatically the character based on all the functions that we will create here. For example, character creation, well, we're not going to use this and this. Here in the A, for example, we will load the mail, okay, and the mail will appear here. I can show you right now by just doing something like print string. Let's get this. this. Say 10 seconds. Okay, wait, before we test this, there should be an error here in our VPC. Yes, here, because we're trying to load the raw body from our creation pound and we just clean everything. So let's actually just delete everything. Our assembler is now empty. Okay, here this is the former creation pound, the new empty creation pound. Okay, let's get the player controller. This is temporal because to PP creation controller. Okay, this is just to show you what we're going to do. And from here, initialize. This is the characterization object. No, wait. We need the component. Sorry. Get component by class, and the component that we have in our creation is this one, character creation. PPC character creation. There. We get just the first one is valid, and if it's valid, we set this. Okay, we initialize it. Okay, so we have a way to initialize the VPC character assembler, and when we initialize it, after we pass a reference, we will print the data asset that we have here. Okay, so let me check. Let's close this, and we'll print it 10 seconds, and it should say DA UA relation for Manequin mail. Okay, so let's play it there. So we are loading literally from here. Okay. I will disconnect this from here. Now we need to build all the assembler. Okay, so I will show you what we're gonna do. Okay, this is the developer project. Okay, this is the project that I used to develop all the system before we actually record all the tutorial. And let me show you here. We have the create body mesh map, and then we set the collisions, and then we assemble the character, and we toggle it, the visibility, and then inside the component our assemblers look like this. Okay, and we're initialize the character assembler component here. Basically, it's a lot of code. Okay, it's a lot of code, and if I continue, it's gonna be a 3-hour class. So I will just delete everything. Okay, in this case, for example, I have Liz and Roy. Okay, and if I hit play, I have all of them. Why? Because the system is checking for the root of the character, of this character. If you have a few same component, and after that it loads all the one that I set here in the A character to load. So these systems allows me to prototype by directly select the same component from here, or by load it from an array. And that's allowing me to append array, which is what I want to do if I want to unlock characters. Okay, we will talk about that in the next class or in the other, because I will just stop here. Okay, guys, I see you in the next class.